Hi, this is me. I'm toiletbutwipe, aka FroggyAJ, and as of this video, today's the hyped up release of Loomian Legacy's Atlantean Part 2 update. This begs the question, will this be the update to revive Loomian Legacy? And if so, how will this end up affecting Doodle World? Today I'm going to be taking a deeper dive into this highly anticipated release and its impact on not just itself, but also Doodle World and other games in the genre. I'm also going to be taking a look at some suggestions for Doodle World to raise its player count. If you enjoy, please make sure to subscribe since we're getting close to 1,000 subs. Thanks. Alright, let's get into it. For starters, we gotta go back in time to around December of 2020. This is when Route 8 was added to Loomian Legacy. This route introduced the UMV and Guppy's Pond to the game, along with some additional content. Little did players know this was going to be the last update they'd seen in a while. Now, I wasn't around back then, so I'm not able to comment firsthand on how long development took for new updates, but one thing we can check out are comments by others and release dates. These will help us find patterns in development and uncover how long updates were taking back then. We all know about the infamous 2-year wait for Atlantean Part 2, but is this really all that far-fetched for Loomian Legacy? Well, maybe not. Loomian Legacy came out on July 20th of 2019. Route 8 came out in December of 2021. This means 17 months, or 1 year and 4 months, have passed before the 8th route was added. Unrealistically, if the game followed an exponential growth pattern, it'd mean the game would take around a bit over 2 months to add every route. Of course, this isn't true, however. But how do we know that? This is where comments by fans and tweets by developers come in handy. Looking back at some old posts from Lando, this tweet right here reveals that Bob's Guppy Pond didn't actually come out alongside Route 8. Instead, it came out on March 27th, 2021. This means there was a 4-month wait for Guppy's Pond to release. 4 whopping months. Looking back at some old posts from players, they don't seem to be having much fun waiting. In comparison, this is just a bit longer than a whole summer's worth of time. That in and of itself is a crazy amount of time to be waiting for an update, but it only gets worse. The next update to come out after Route 8 was the prequel to the highly anticipated Atlantean update. This was Lotus and Beach. Originally, the beach was intended to come out alongside the Atlantean update, but it seemed development was taking a bit longer than intended, so a poll was put out by T. Bradham, the game's developer. Fans had the choice to vote between getting Lotus in earlier and waiting for Atlantean after, or waiting a few more months and getting everything all at once. Players quickly decided to take Lotus and Beach earlier, but why? Looking at the release dates, the reason is a bit more obvious. Lotus and Beach came out on March 26th of 2022. Yikes. This is a massive 12-month wait from the last release of Bob's Pond, and it doesn't even get any better. Lotus and Beach offers a very minimal amount of gameplay additions, only adding a new NPC with a short side quest, a new boss, and a couple new Loomians. Oh, and an advertisement towards some newly released UGC. That's all. A whole year just for that, but it continues to worsen. News gets out from the game's developers that the Atlantean update has to be split in half because of how long development is taking. This leads the players into outrage since a lack of communication between the community and the dev team led to false hopes for when the update would be released. Eventually, after some more waiting, Part 1 was added, but led players largely disappointed with the lack of a Part 2. It worked in keeping them entertained though, since a noticeable amount of content was included. That brings us to today, the release of the second half to Atlantean. As of this video, it's unknown what the peak player count will be after the update drops, but we'll soon find out. Whatever the number may be though, it'll sure peak more than anything Loomian Legacy's gotten in the past couple of months. That leads us to a burning question. How will this update end up affecting Doodle World? Some fans are expressing concern for the community of Doodle World, but if I'm being completely honest, I think this update will have little to no impact on it. Although the games are similar, the two are still completely different. This goes with the player base as well. Since the two are so different, the communities for each game seem to very rarely cross sides. Someone who plays Doodle World is unlikely to play Loomian Legacy and vice versa. Of course, this doesn't apply to all players, so a minor drop in player count for Doodle World is only expected, especially with the addition that Doodle World is receiving no major updates. This basically gives Loomian Legacy the spotlight for their big release, so that players of both games get to check out the update. Even after all the waits that Loomian Legacy's fans get dragged through, the player counts have stayed near consistent to an average of 1,000 players. This is definitely a drop in players compared to the past, however, but was only to be expected. There's just one problem with this, and it involves Doodle World. Taking a look at Doodle World's stats, the numbers are eerily the same. Doodle World is known for its consistent updates that add significant amounts of gameplay, alongside frequent in-game events that never fail to impress. Compare this to Loomian Legacy's update drought and recycled events for the past year, and we've got an issue. Why are the player counts averaging around the same? Well, in reality, I don't think it's that deep. If we want to find some sort of conclusion, the best lead would be the build-up to each game. Loomian Legacy stemmed from a massive community of people who played Pokemon Brick Bronze, while Doodle World stemmed from a smaller community of people who played Project Pokemon. It's only natural for games to peak and for games to dip in player counts, but what I think is causing this unnormally low player count for both games is the lack of any event or update. This is the natural trade for having an unfinished story-based game. While players wait for the devs to continue the story, they're left with little amounts of gameplay while they wait. This leads to high amounts of player dips, but also high amounts of player peaks when updates are dropped. When Loomian Legacy releases Atlantean, the game will definitely peak, and when Doodle World puts out a Halloween update, the player count will also rise significantly. That's pretty much all to it, but if there is one thing drastically carrying down Doodle World's player count, it has to be Wiglet. Wiglet needs to either be removed from the game or redesigned and given a different name. Anyways, that's all for today. Short discussion because I wanted to get this video out before Atlantean releases. That's all, and I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.